testing. 1, 2, 3, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? We're going to get started. We're going to get started. All right, everyone. Good to go. Recording. Am I clear? Yes? All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Shegun Akiyemi. I am a software engineer at Microsoft, and I am here to talk to you about Agentic AI. We're going to have a very deep conversation. It's going to be interactive. You might have seen the bags here behind me. You will be rewarded. I think I have around 30 different bags, and there's maybe over 100 of you. So please do raise your hand. I'm going to ask my assistants to help me out. I will probably bias towards calling towards people that are already, near the front, but that's not fair, right? So I'm going to ask some of the SEO employees to help me call on people in the back so that you also have an equal chance to get something going. Here's my bio, as you can see here. I was born in Seattle, Washington. My family immigrated to Seattle from Lagos, Nigeria. I went to college in St. Louis, Missouri, though. I did my BS, my Bachelor's of Science in Computer Information Systems, at a small school called Lindenwood University. Then I did my master's at a larger school called Washington University in St. Louis. Are there any students in the room from the state of Missouri that go to school in the state of Missouri? Not a single? My goodness, not a single one? Anyone close? Illinois? No? Okay, Illinois. Clap for Illinois. Clap for Illinois. All right. Come up here, Illinois. Come up here. Come up here, Illinois. I got this just for Illinois. I want Missouri, but we got Illinois, all right? This is for you. There you go. It's got to be you individually. Just Illinois is close enough. You can scan the QR code to get my LinkedIn. I will hang around afterwards so you can also get that information. I blog. I write about technology. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, so Microsoft has an office there. There's around 2,000 employees that work at Microsoft in Charlotte, and I am one of them. I've been there since the pandemic in 2020. I run a field trip program in Charlotte for high school students. We bring them to Microsoft. We give them a whole tour. We talk about technology. We teach. We feed them. We give them free stuff, and then we send them back to school. I've been running that for about 4 or 5 years now. But I also speak at local universities in the Charlotte area in the state of North Carolina. But we're here in New York today, so let's have some fun. Talk to me. How many of you have used any Microsoft products? Right? Just yell it out. Just yell the name. There's too many of you. Copilot. Okay, wow. Good job. The CEO would be happy to hear that. Something else than that. Teams. Okay, Excel. Outlook. Yes. How about Power BI. Clap for Power BI. What a strange technology to be using. That's good. Power BI is a data engineering tool that is not often used. Teams. Yes. PowerPoint stands. Okay. What do you think of Copilot, students? Are we recording this? Let me be careful. All right. Has Copilot ever done anything good for you? Yes or no? No. Okay. All right. All I did was ask a question for the recording. All I did was ask a question. All right. Raise your hand if you've used anything up here. If your hand's not up, I'm going to laser in and try and apply peer pressure. If you have not used anything up there, raise your hand. It's okay. All right. So this is everything Microsoft either created themselves or owns. Could someone tell me the name of a product up here that has no words or no letters? So if there's a letter or a word, don't call it out. Something that's just a logo. Copilot. Which one is that? Upper left. All right. Can we clap for this student? Copilot. There you go. What else? I got to go to the back. I have to be careful of bias. I got to be careful of bias. This student. Yes. Edge. Which one is that? Bottom-ish left? Okay, yeah, go raise your hand so he can find you. Clap for him. What else? OneDrive. Which one is OneDrive? The cloud. Okay, and what's the color to the icon to the right of OneDrive? Just to make sure you're pointing at the right one. Yeah, okay, good job. OneDrive. All right, what else? Did I call on you already?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Visual Studio.
Which one is Visual Studio?
The one closer to Microsoft Expert.
This way?
No.
This way?
No, yeah, that one.
That way, you're close. It's not Visual Studio. It's something very close to that.
No, so this one there.
Okay, I got VS Code. Yes, can we clap for this student? So this one is VS Code.
And
That one's visual, but it's too late. We got to move on. There will be more opportunities. We're doing more. All right. So today we're learning about Agentic AI. We're learning about the key acronyms, right? The fact that Agentic AI requires human judgment. We're going to talk about cost, how much it costs to run these systems, how complicated they are, and the fact that there are layoffs happening related to it, but it's not for the reasons that most CEOs are telling you. So, the history of artificial intelligence. It's been around for a long time. If you can't see this one, look at the TVs on the side, because I know this is a little small on the screen. But we have had artificial intelligence since the 1950s. Does anyone happen to know why people were working on AI in 1950? What world event was going on? World War II. Yeah, clap for this young man. World War II, right? There's a great movie called The Imitation Game. Right? Long story short, they needed to crack some codes to figure out what the Germans were doing, and they made computers help them. And that was the start of artificial intelligence. So it did not just come out in 2022 when ChatGPT came out. So even though it feels like, man, AI, we just invented AI, we've been working for a very, very long time. And that's important for you to understand so you can calm down and not have too much anxiety. This did not come out yesterday. We do know how it works, and we are intelligent about it. I had one more thing. Did you realize, raise your hand if you have an Apple iPhone. Right? Okay, do you use Siri, or have you ever used Siri? Ever? Okay, was it good? No. But Siri is AI, right? And it was AI in 2011. So not all AI is good. Some of it sucks. So you do have to accept that. And I'm not just taking shots at Siri. We talked about Copilot. Your response was a little bit not positive, right? But I don't make it. I don't own it. I just work there. All right, what does GPT stand for, somebody? Very quick on the draw. Let me get away from the speaker. No, you can't look it up. No, you can't look it up. Hey, today, don't look anything up, okay? You're here. You have natural intelligence, students. Don't look it up. Why would we hire you to look things up? Okay, generative pre-trained is correct, but there's one more letter. I'm going to stay with you. You got the G and the P. The T is something else. And the T is the most important part. It came out in 2017. There was a research paper called Attention is All You Need by Google, and that came up with the T. And without the T, AI would really suck. Well, huh? Yes, Transformers. Just give it to both of them. This young man and this young man. All right, so it stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. I'm going to skip the G and the P because that's kind of self-explanatory. It generates stuff. We have data, a lot of data that we gave to it. The T, the best way for me to describe this to you is to give you an example. If I walked into a room, and I just came home from work, I talked to one of my loved ones, I said, I had a very tough day. On the way home, I got something to eat, though. I got shot, and now I really just want to watch a movie. What's the most important part of that sentence? I got shot. Now, how do you know that as a human being? Right, that's natural intelligence. You realize that just because I gave you a bunch of words does not mean every single word has the same significance. How did we get a computer to figure that out? I don't have time to tell you. Google figured it out in 2017. You can look it up. Without that, AI would have no idea how to tell you what's really important. Let's do this one. With this LLM, I got to go to the back. Remember, I got to defeat bias. Okay, this student. Yes?
Large language model.
Yes, can we clap for this student? Large language model. Large language model. All right. Again, we're not really here to talk about this. I feel like in this room, with all of you being college students, if you haven't encountered this, I'd probably be concerned for the quality of education being given at your university. So I'm going to kind of breeze through this. To make a long story short, we give a computer a bunch of words, and then it's able to make new words that sound like they make sense. Okay? Behind all of this is something called pattern recognition. So if you have somebody that you know very, very well, right, maybe your best friend in the entire world, have you ever found yourself completing their sentences before they say something? But do you really know what they're going to say? Do you know magically? Do you know scientifically? You just know them. You know their patterns, right? That is really what we've done with computers. I know it feels like you're talking to a real live person, but what we've done is we've given a computer so many examples of human data that can generate new words, but it's not really understanding what you mean. It's just looking at patterns and data. And you need to understand this so that you don't think that we created, Jarvis from Iron Man, because we haven't figured that out yet, even though they're trying. And people do feel like that's pretty far away, but we'll see what we can do in the future. Right? It's all just pattern recognition. That's all this is, fundamentally. Right? Do you guys recognize this meme, or is this still too old? All right? Meme culture just moves way too fast, All right, but let's talk about the real thing that we're here to talk about, which is Agentic AI. Has anyone heard of this before? Okay, so get ready, because I'm going to need you to help me figure out what it really means. All right, before we go into the technology definition, we're just going to use normal English. What does the word agency mean? You have choices. Clap for this student. You have choices to make your own, right there. You have choices to make your own decisions. Okay, think about that. That is not technology. That's not computer science. That's not artificial intelligence. That's just the English language. So now that you know what agency means, what does this mean? This is called deductive reasoning, and you're in college, and they should have been teaching you this. Yes?
Agentic AI is like an AI that has the ability to like make its own decisions.
Yes, correct. That's it. 100% correct. 10,000 points. Clap for this young lady. 10,000 points. That's it. It's not that complicated. All these headlines and all these CEOs telling you stuff, if agency means the ability to act independently and make your own decisions, if you put agentic in front of AI, it's AI that can act independently and make its own decisions. Life is not that complicated. It's not that hard. That's all this means, right? AI that can act independently and make its own decisions. So these are two definitions. Has anyone heard of OpenAI? Right? What product do they make? And have you heard of Anthropic? What product do they make? Okay, those are the two leading frontier AI firms. This is how they define it. So the one on the top is really a technical definition. The one on the bottom, I think, is way more approachable for the general public. An AI system that has instructions, what it should do, guardrails, what it should not do, and access to tools, what it can do. You get it, right? You can scan the QR codes if you want to, or maybe they'll send this out afterwards. But these are the definitions from the leading AI firms about what agentic AI can do. Or really, these are definitions of what an agent is. If you've ever heard generative and agentic put together, they are not like generative AI versus agentic AI. The same model, you know, Claude Opus 4.7, they just dropped 4.8 like 10 seconds ago. It can do both of these things. It can be generative or it can be agentic. This is just so that you have this in your brain. We're about to do an activity, so you don't get confused. You can take a picture of it, or send it out afterwards. But we're going to move on. Okay, we're going to play a game. In this game, I'm going to give you scenarios. These are scenarios about what a company would want an AI agent to do. Some of these are fictional. Some of these are things I've encountered at the workplace. Some of these are things that actually happened in real life, but before AI came out. These are all the sorts of things that the CEO of OpenAI and Anthropic are kind of going into boardrooms and promising that, hey, Claude and ChatGPT could do this, and you wouldn't even need human beings. And we're going to see whether or not that's the case. All right? So the top two, I'm going to give you the top two, and then your goal is to guess the bottom left, the output. So given that the goal is we tell the AI to clean up my work calendar. I have like 100 meetings this week. It's way too cluttered. I'm stressed out. Help me clean up my work calendar. That's what we're asking the AI agent. And the prompt I gave it, you can go ahead and read it. I'm not going to read it in full. Basically, look at everything. Look at my chats. Look at my emails. Look at my messages that are coming in to try and figure out, of the 100 meetings on my calendar this week, which one of these are really important. Can anyone guess what the AI agent did? And we want to be specific to this case. Your hand went up fast.
If it's mandatory or optional, and
Okay.
also mark urgency on an email or meeting.
Okay.
So look at that and determine its mandatory ones would stay,
Okay.
optional would leave,
Okay.
and most pertinent would stay.
Now, how about ambiguity there? A meeting where it's not able to find, because that's a clean data situation, but reality is usually way more complicated. How do you think it would behave? Can we reward him first for a second? Great job. Clap for this student. Right? How do you think it would behave if things get murky? I have a meeting on my calendar that sounds important, but there's nothing written down anywhere that indicates if I'm really important. There's 20 people on the invite. And do I need to be there? It sounds important. Right? And that's what I'm getting at. I'm not saying you should do it. So what it does is it went to the calendar, it cleared out 6 hours from the week, it declined some broad company meetings, it got rid of meetings where it felt like it wasn't essential. Right? So this seems like it did a good job. Right? This is what they're selling to the world, that you can have an AI agent clear your calendar. And this is running in the background and nobody's looking after it. But what happens is it declined a meeting that the employee wanted to attend. Because it's a company-wide meeting, it's a learning event meeting, but it got rid of it because it figured, well, you don't need to be there. It also kept a meeting that the employee was assigned to where they're not actually important, but it sounds important. The name of the meeting sounds important, and the invite went to you, but you're not actually on that project. My team, for example, at Microsoft, we own like 12 different services, but they send the meeting invites to the whole team, But some of these I know I don't need to be there. You know, I work on these 3. I don't work on everything. So the AI agent, I mean, it did all right, but it didn't have the right context. Has anyone heard this word in relation to artificial intelligence recently? Context? Who would like to take a stab? Oh, really quick. All right. What does it mean?
So it could be like the materials that you're giving the AI, like what you're training it on.
Okay, not necessarily what we're training it on, but the first part, yes. Can we clap for this young man? The materials that you're giving AI, the information, so the training data happens before, but this is really the information that we're giving it, you know, the surrounding information that gives meaning to what's being discussed. So if you walk in, have you ever walked in on a conversation between 2 people and not known what's going on? Right, what are you guys talking about? What you lacked was context. And without context, all these AI systems are unable to do anything of tremendous value. So you as a human being, you only remember so much. There's things that happen. I mean, today is what, May 28th, 2026. Someone tell me exactly what you were doing on this day last year, at this exact time. You probably, I mean, if you know, I'll be impressed, brother. Okay, he got a messed up hair. Okay, clap for that young man powering through. Your hair looks great. You recovered. Hair looks. No. All right. But good job. All right, we got another one. So here's the goal. There's a famous drink brand, and they're losing customers to a sweeter rival. Sweeter by it tastes sweeter, right? Figure out why people are switching and what should change. And remember, this is what we're telling the AI agent. This is what the AI agent is being told. All right. The prompt that it's given, the written instruction is analyze sales trends, taste tests, surveys, focus groups, all this, and recommend what should we do to win back customers. This is a real scenario where there's an AI CEO somewhere telling the CEO of some other company that you can fire all your analysts and just ask the agent to do this. I'm not joking. What do you think it did? What do you think it did given this? Hand up.
Make the drink sweeter.
Okay, make the drink sweeter. That is exactly right. Clap for this young man. Make the drink sweeter. The agent says the drink is the problem, make it sweeter. So here's the catch. Customers did not really care about the other thing being sweeter, right? They had a lot of brand loyalty, and they were just complaining about, there's a whole bunch of things people were complaining about, but it wasn't that the drink was sweeter. And this happened in real life. You're all too, I mean, this was before I was born, so I'm not going to pretend like I was alive. But there was something called New Coke. All right, back in the day, and it failed. And so this is before AI. AI didn't do this. But the example I'm giving is that even with human beings, we made this mistake as humanity, right? AI would make the same mistake, but it would cost 7 times more to end up in the same situation because you took all human analysis out of the situation. So let's keep going. Oh, before we keep going, does anyone know what this stands for? So in the example I just gave, you would need your agent to go look up a lot of information, maybe from a database, check your email, check whatever. What do you think this stands for?
Retrieval augmented generation.
Correct. Can we clap for this young man? Retrieval augmented generation. All right. To make a long, I have this for you, which is very technical, but I realize not everyone in the room cares to this degree. So this is way more simple. All right. You look up information. You add it to the context, and we just learned what context is, and then you answer with it. That's all this is. It's a very fancy term. It was invented by Meta in 2020. I think in 2020, Meta invented this. You basically give an AI agent the ability to go look something up, and then instead of giving you an answer just from its training data, it gives you an answer from what it just looked up on the internet, looked up in your database, looked up in your email. That's all this is. New scenario. A customer says something valuable was damaged by our baggage handlers. So the company is an airline. Decide whether this is a normal support claim or we need to escalate this. So this is what we're telling the AI agent. The prompt that was given is review the complaint, our support history, our policy deadlines, and figure out should we accept this claim that we damaged something or should we deny it? What do you think the AI agent told the company to do in this scenario? Hand up. Sorry, I saw you first. What? Escalate? Okay, that's a good guess. That's not what it told it to do, though. Yes, clap for this student. Reject the claim. Reject the claim, right? The reason it says to reject the claim is because it has access to that purplish, pinkish thing in the top right that says policy deadlines. And the deadline for the claim had gone by. If you're interning at an insurance company, you'll need to understand this. The rest of this, I hope you never end up in a situation where you have to deal with insurance companies. It's not pleasant. But the agent denies the claim. But here's what happens, right? The agent was correct from a technical standpoint. The deadline to submit a claim was this date. The customer submitted it afterwards. We deny the claim. But the customer was an influencer. And the customer made a song about how much the airline sucks, posted the song on YouTube, and $180 million in value was wiped out from the airline's stock price because of this, right? So, I mean, it was the right logical decision, but it messed up the company. Reality is often very complicated, and it's not as easy as 1, 2, 3. So this actually happened before AI. United Airlines, this is a musician that I'd be surprised if any of you had heard of him, right? But he's a musician, and United Airlines broke his guitar, and he was mad, and he made a claim. And then they denied his claim, so he made a song in the early days of YouTube, and United Airlines lost $180 million in stock price as a result of him making basically a diss track about United Airlines sucks. So yeah, reality is complicated. Human beings have to have a little bit more knowledge than just ABC. So let's do another one. But first, I'm going to get by this because I'm looking at the clock. Natural language processing is basically taking words, giving it to AI, trying to get it to have understanding. This was a thing before ChatGPT. I mean, people used to do PhDs in natural language processing until we came out with large language models, and it's just way more efficient to do it that way. All right, we got another one. So the goal. Cut 15% from an event budget without hurting the attendee experience. So this would be something you get into if you ever got into event planning. So here's the prompt that was given. Review the budget, that makes sense. Vendor quotes, so people you've hired to maybe do the balloons or do the food and stuff like that. Attendee feedback from previous events, promises, and recommend what we should do to get us under budget. What do you think the AI agent did? And look at the second box in the upper right for a list of things that are important. You got to cut something. We got to come under budget. So what do you think it did? Oh, hand up. Okay, clap for this young man. It cut back on transportation, right? It hit the savings target because it cut shuttle service, and it went to cheaper food. But the reality is we had people attending the event that had accessibility needs. So we probably should not have cut the shuttle service because now we look like we're not sensitive to the needs of everybody that wants to attend this event. And the fact that you got cheaper food, we have people with dietary restrictions. So now those people don't get what they need. So this is another example of AI doing, the right thing from what we wanted, but it doesn't create the result that really leads to success for the company. And in this situation, you would have your AI agent reach out to all sorts of different places to get information. There's an acronym to represent that. Does anyone know what that acronym is? I saw that hand. Model context protocol is correct. Can we clap for that young man? So I'm not going to drain this slide. Think of it like you have an AI system that you need to read your Teams chat, your Gmail, your Instagram account, your Snap. You want it to be able to see everything you do so it can do stuff for you. And you plug it in. Ooh. Almost lost that. You plug it into all these things, right? So that's really what MCP is. If you've ever seen, anyone heard of Claude bot? Not Claude, C-L-A-U-D-E, but Claude, C-L-A-W-D, right? So it's an AI system that basically lets AI manage everything on your phone, which is kind of insane, but you could do that. You could let it send text messages for you. You could let it read your email. You could let it do all sorts of things. I would not recommend it. Here's another one. So help a recruiting team pick internship candidates. All of you may be in a situation where an AI company is actually doing this. And here's the prompt that was given. Go ahead and read through that. Review the resumes. Review the short answers. When you apply to an application, do you have to sometimes maybe write about why you want to work at this company? Why you believe that our company is the best? So have the AI agent review all this. What do you think the AI agent, I saw this hand first, did?
Since it says rank is for quantitative values, so maybe
Okay.
rank applicants with higher GPAs.
Okay, yes, that's correct. Rank applicants with higher GPAs. What else could it rank, though? Like, what else is something that would be on your resume that we could say, oh, you probably are cool and smart, other than your GPA? Yes, there we go. Clap for this student. School ranking. Okay, it came up with a list where it just took all the people that go to good schools and put them very high. And all the people, if you have a good GPA and you go to a school that's prestigious, it puts you very high. But is that how we hire in the real world? Right? The CEO of Microsoft dropped out of college. He dropped out of Harvard, but still, he dropped out. And the CEO of Facebook, but he also dropped out of Harvard. So that doesn't make my point the way I wanted it to. But anyways, right? The problem is, if you look at existing data, you get an AI agent that just makes existing decisions. Well, we did it this way in the past, so let's just keep on doing it this way forever. But is that how innovation works? Is innovation the practice of doing the same thing the way you've always done it over and over again? No, so you don't get that from an AI agent, and that's the problem. So this is a complicated acronym. If you get this, I'll be impressed. This is how we get AI to take into account how we feel before we release it to the public. Can anyone tell me? Oh, I did not see your hand. Wow, clap for this guy. You're a nerd. Good for you. Reinforcement learning from human feedback. Okay. Has anyone ever in your email gotten an email that was spam, but it got past the spam filter? Okay. Do you ever see a button that says, report this as spam? That's what this is. Reinforcement learning from human feedback. This is you telling the AI, this thing is spam. So it then takes that email and records, this is another example of what spam looks like. So that's what this is. And we did this before ChatGPT. We didn't just start doing this, the moment ChatGPT came out. That's what this is. So we got one more, I think. Help a university spot AI-generated essays. So this one is probably near and dear to your heart, right? Review each essay, writing history, citations, class drafts, course website activity. You get it. Canva would be like, Canva or Blackboard would be course website activity. And flagged work that was probably written by AI. What do you think it did? I feel like I've called on you too many times. All right. It flagged human work. Yeah, and what else might have it done? So it flagged human work, but what's the opposite of flagging human work? Is AI work, right? But that sounds kind of human. That someone worked really, really hard with ChatGPT to say, make this sound human, make this sound human. And you just write that prompt a million times. And then you get past it, right? So it flagged essays as being AI generated that weren't AI generated. But then there were some essays where the student is really, really good with using the right models and the right prompts. And it was AI generated, but that student did more than just write my essay. They spent like an hour using chat. And at that point, I don't know if you give them credit because you did put effort into this. I'm not a professor. I'm not giving you my opinion. But, they use AI to the point to generate the essay, but it didn't catch it. So I want you to know, from a computer science standpoint, it is impossible to take a string of words and know if it was generated by AI. And I mean that in the most scientific way possible. It is not possible. It will never be possible. You can't take a bunch of words and do some sort of cool math problem and then figure out this was generated by AI. All you can do is assign a likelihood. And if that likelihood is wrong, what happens to your life when they expel you from college? You're screwed, right? They ruined your life on a guess, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not a professor. So anyways, these are all the acronyms you learned. Take a picture of this one, right? These are all the acronyms we just learned. All of these acronyms are related to artificial intelligence and the way that it operates. Keep your phones out because we're going to have a lot of slides. Maybe not a lot. We're going to have quite a few slides where you need to scan some QR codes coming up. But these are all the acronyms that are fundamental to an AI system that can operate with agency. You tell it what to do. It just does a million things. You don't have to prompt it. It opens up your email. It sends emails. It deletes stuff. It deletes your calendar. It does all this great stuff. All right. So the one key thing with every single one of these is that natural intelligence is actually very important to figuring out whether or not what an AI agent did was correct. Okay, reality is really complicated. We had the example about my calendar. If we just look at my calendar and say, any meeting flagged important, I should go to. But what about managers that flag the meeting as important, but it's not important to me, it's important to the 5 other people on my team, but the team has 20 people. So life is complicated. Reality is complicated. We have tried. There's a company called Klarna that tried to fire all of their support staff and replace it with AI, I think in 2024. And they had to hire like half of them back, right? Because customers kept complaining. It wasn't like, reality gets complicated. It's not 1 + 1 = 2 the moment you're a company with millions of customers speaking different languages all over the globe with different situations, with different accessibility needs. It gets really, really complicated. And so it's great to have Agentic AI, but it's also great to have someone to review that output and tell you if it's correct or not. Does anyone recognize this slide? It's a famous slide. There's a student in here who said they're interning at IBM. Where's that student? IBM student. This is from IBM. This is from IBM in 1979. All right? Before ChatGPT. All right? In 1979, IBM used to be the only big tech company, and then other ones came up. So when they were just about the only big tech company in America, they kind of saw the future in that, we're making computers that can do a lot of cool stuff, but we should probably never let this thing make a decision that impacts human lives, because how do you hold something accountable that's not actually alive, right? It's not alive, and it doesn't understand what you're doing. It's not like Terminator, right, where they created artificial intelligence that was actually really, have you guys seen that movie? That's, okay, Terminator, right? Or Black Mirror episodes where they come up with AI in Black Mirror, right? Those are all, we haven't made that. And if we ever do, God help us. But we haven't made that yet. We have not figured that out. So we probably should not be letting this thing make management decisions. There we go. And this is a quote that I found, I forget who said this, but it doesn't eliminate the need for human expertise, it amplifies it. So Agentic AI is great, we use it all the time at Microsoft. GitHub Copilot is the primary tool we use. We also have access to Claude Code, but they started bringing that down because it costs way too much money to have a company using both tools at the same time. But Agentic AI doesn't mean we're getting rid of everybody. So let's talk about the cost of Agentic AI. Let's talk about layoffs. Does anyone look at the news? Right, layoffs related to AI. Let's talk about, has anyone heard a CEO say that all white collar work is going to be gone in 1 year? Yeah, has anyone heard that? Have you actually heard that headline? Does anyone know the name of the man that said that? Jamie Dimon? I wasn't taking shots at him. No, don't put that on me. There's somebody else. Okay, who else? Not NVIDIA. Dario Amodei, that man. The CEO of Anthropic, okay? He says this all the time. He says, you don't need to worry, just buy my product, you don't need humans anymore. He says this in boardrooms, and the people in the boardrooms leak it to the press, right? That he told us that we don't need to do hiring this year because Claude is going to do all the work for us. But Claude costs more money than hiring an intern and a new person. So what is he really trying to do? He's trying to sell you something. He's not telling you the truth. He's trying to sell you something so his company can IPO and he becomes a multi-trillionaire. All right, so let's talk about layoffs, okay? We're going to talk about it. We're going to address it. I will stay around for questions at the end. I'm glad you got the New York reference, okay? All right, we're going to talk about it. We're going to be honest about it. So scan this QR code. I have something to say, but you should probably just listen to what this person said. Does anyone know who Sam Altman is? And if you read the slide, you'll get the answer. Who's Sam Altman? OpenAI CEO. Okay, and they asked him, because he's getting to the point where it's been around it's really 2023 when they started pushing AI enterprise tools that cost a lot of money every year. And so the CEOs of Walmart and Target and every Fortune 500 company are starting to put a lot of pressure on this man. They're like, dude, we're paying so much money for your product, and we're also paying our employees. Somebody's got to go. But the product you're giving us is not replacing the employees the way you told us. And now he's being honest, right? He's now being honest that I think a lot of the companies that are doing layoffs are really doing layoffs because OpenAI charges them a lot, not because we fully replaced human labor with artificial intelligence, but because it costs like $100 an hour for you to use the enterprise version of Claude Code at work. It's very expensive, right? Everyone scanned it before I moved on? All right. So, guess the missing word here. Guess the missing word. No, who said it? Talks. Clap for this young man. Talks. Clap for him. Reward him, right? Money talks. Okay, I'm going to have a meme. Do you know who this is? Thank God. Okay, all right. I was told by someone a few seconds ago that I'm technically a zillennial, right? I was born in 1997. So I always thought I was a millennial, but apparently I'm barely Gen Z, which is kind of like an identity crisis thing for me right now. But anyways, right, money talks. This is Mr. Krabs. So if I show you this slide and you take a picture of it, can you understand why some of these companies would say, you know what, we kind of got to let you go? Not because we're replacing you, but because we have to build a lot of new buildings, and we have to buy a lot of chips from a company whose logo is green, that we're going to, or GPUs from a company whose logo is green, and it costs a lot of money. Is there anyone a finance major in here? Finance or logistics? Okay, what is CapEx? Capital expenditure. And what is that? That's a fancy, smart people word. Explain it to me as a software engineer like I'm not smart. What's CapEx? I'm not smart.
It's basically like an initial cash flow that's going to leave
Okay?
And it's essentially an investment in the company's future with new, different solutions like AI.
Clap for this guy. Yes. The way I would say it is it's real money. That's what it is. It's not like all this fancy accounting. When you see 117 billion, they actually bought physical stuff in the real physical world worth that amount of money. They bought land, then they bought iron beams, and they bought GPUs, and they bought chips, and they built a data center. So this is not like a forecast. They actually did spend this year $117 billion. Does anyone know how long it would take you to count to 1 billion out loud? You can look this up. Whoever gets it first gets a bag. How long does it take to count to 1 billion just speaking out loud? Do you know?
Is it like 30 years?
It is like 30 years. Wow, okay. This student right here, clap for this student. It would take you 30 years, longer than I've been alive, to count to 1 billion out loud. So from a logical standpoint, how can anybody have $117 billion? That does not make sense. Finance majors explain this to me. What has happened to the financial system that you can have that much money and use it in any sort of reasonable way? I'm getting off my point. But look at the next slide. Who are the two leading AI companies? Anthropic and OpenAI. So those two companies, had you ever heard of them when you were in high school? I mean, I don't know how young you guys are. Hold on. When you guys were in middle school? No, you had never heard, but did you hear of Google when you were in middle school? Did you hear of Microsoft? Did you hear of Amazon? So where did they come from? Where did OpenAI and Anthropic come from? Do you think it's possible to come from nothing and all of a sudden become something? Maybe for a human being, not for a startup. There's something called investor capital. Almost all the money that's being used to fund OpenAI and Anthropic comes from these companies, if you look up here. Microsoft is deep $280 billion into OpenAI. Oracle also has a piece of that. Google is $200 billion deep in Anthropic. Amazon is with everybody, right? They're hedging their bets. The point is, there's a lot of money being spent. And this money, right, is resulting in CEOs making decisions that don't actually reflect the capability of their product. You guys talked about Copilot. Has anyone felt like Copilot can manage your email? 100%. Has anyone felt like Copilot can manage your Teams chats 100%? Is anyone in an analyst sort of internship where they give you information and they want you to tell them what to do? Is anyone in an internship like that? Analyst, where you're expected to give them answers to stuff? I guess they don't give that out to young people anymore. You have to be a little bit older. Is anyone in an internship that's like technical, with coding and dashboards and spreadsheets? Do you feel like you could just ask Copilot to do your job? No. Could you ask Claude to do your job? Could it help you do your job? That's okay, right? That's what Microsoft Excel was in the 90s. Accounting used to be way harder. Then we came out with Excel, and accounting is easier. But can you fire your accountant? No. Did we fire all accountants? Are there still accountants? Right, so are we going to fire every lawyer and every doctor and every engineer? It doesn't make any sense, but it does make sense when you look at this. Okay, somebody mentioned NVIDIA. Who mentioned NVIDIA earlier, right? So NVIDIA makes something called GPUs that's primarily used for video games, but you also need a GPU to train a large language model. So they are the richest company in the world right now, and everybody's doing deals with them, and it goes round and round in a circle to make sure that we can fund the AI race. When you look at these numbers, it probably makes a little bit more sense why they would have layoffs. Not because the jobs of the people being laid off were replaced by AI, but because they have to pay for their AI bill. And that does suck. Most people in the tech industry feel like it's a bubble, which is to say that it's not going to last for too long. But I don't want you to think that we invented something that really does a lawyer's job 100% and you can just fire all your lawyers, or does an accounting job, or does software engineering 100%. Because we haven't. If we ever invent that, again, God help us, but we haven't figured it out yet. All right, scan this one. So this came out, I think, last week. Microsoft is not happy it came out, but basically, somebody figured out that Microsoft internally is cutting a lot of licenses for their internal employees' usage of AI because it costs more to let this person use an unlimited amount of GitHub Copilot, an unlimited amount of Claude Code, than it would if I just asked you to do it manually. And what's the goal of any good corporation? It's to generate value for, okay. If that's your goal and you're using a tool, I pay you $200,000 a year, and you're using a tool that costs $400,000 a year, does that make any sense? Before the tool came out, you used to do your job just fine, before 2022. you did your job just fine, and I only paid you $200,000. Now I'm paying all this extra money for you to use Claude, and I don't understand why I'm doing this. You should probably, it's either we gotta reduce the amount of Claude you get to use, or just do your job the way you used to, because this is not helping us make money, it's just making life harder. All right, and so we're gonna move on for a second, but this is the what now part. Okay, so scan this QR code. Dario Amodei is the CEO of Anthropic. Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI. This came out, I think, last week as well, where they're both kind of backtracking. They're the ones who have been making the promises that have scared everybody in this room. All white-collar work will be gone in a year, and they said that last year, and here we are today, and we're all still employed, right? And all these different sorts of predictions, they're starting to walk this back. Every time they go into an interview, they're starting to tell the truth that, hey, this is a really good tool. We feel like it's going to enhance your employees. We feel like it's going to make them more productive. But that's not what they were saying last year. What were they saying last year? They weren't saying making you more productive. What were they saying? Get rid of all of you, right? Everybody's gone, and then you can all just start new companies, right? So they're starting to walk this back, and as you can see from the scenarios we went through, Agentic AI doesn't work exactly the way you might have thought it worked. So the voices worth listening to in technology don't post primarily, and this is more for the software engineers in the room, right? If you're wondering how I have so many QR codes for you to scan and people for you to look at, it's because I don't get my information from viral trends on TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and Reels. Those are great for social and for fun and for NBA basketball, but when it comes to software engineering and technical things, that's not really where people are posting, because the people who know the most are a little bit nerdy and they're not always comfortable recording themselves and dancing on TikTok to teach you about rag. X is one of them. So look at this slide. Right, great point. Clap for this young man. Give him something. Give him something. Because he preempted my point. I don't know what X is, but I have heard of Twitter, right? And on tech Twitter, there's a lot of things that people talk about. Before the current CEO bought that company, the tech community was on there talking about technology, and they still are, and we're just all ignoring who owns it because we're just having conversations about technology. Right? And these are all the other places that people who work in technology post. And so I'm going to have a resource for you in a second that's going to help you. If you're in technology and you want to follow the same people that I follow that help me get this information, you'll be able to do that. But these are the places primarily where, does anyone know what the one in the upper left is? What that Y stands for? Yeah? YC Combinator. Can we give him something? Yeah, clap for this young man. Oh, you already have one? Never mind. Give it to him and then have him choose a friend. Let's just do that, you know. But Y Combinator is a startup that's behind Uber, you know, Lyft, like Airbnb. Almost every cool startup ever came out of the same startup accelerator, and they're a big deal. Anyways, okay, this quote is from the man who created Django, which is not the movie, which is a Python framework that is very well used in the industry. He said this on July 3rd, 2025, and he's highly respected in the software engineering community, that quitting your job or quitting your major and saying, I'm never going to go into software engineering because of AI, doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you understand the way it works. Generating code was never the hard part of being a software engineer. It was generating code that actually does what we want it to do. That's correct. And we still need a lot of human expertise to get that part done. So to wrap up the core of everything I've said, Agentic AI moves the kind of work we do. You don't have to type all the emails by hand. You don't have to type all the code by hand. You don't have to do all the Excel work manually, right? You can use the AI tool and it'll help you a lot. But it doesn't get rid of the fact that you as a human being are responsible for proving that this is correct. My job as a software engineer is not to generate code. It's to generate code that I've proven that's not going to break Microsoft. It's not going to take down the company. That's not going to, you can have code that works, but it's non-performing. So it used to cost us $10 to do this, and then I generate code, and now it costs $1,000. But it works. Will my boss be happy? No, right? Because you made us more efficient, but now we're more expensive. And what's the goal of a company? To generate value for shareholders, right? So this is my main point. And to that point, I have a resource for you. Final QR code, I promise. I got a lot of QR codes. But all the information that I've given you today, I create a website to have that there for you, to make sure that you can get it in any way you need to, whether you want to be on Twitter or LinkedIn or Reddit or wherever you want to hang out. So scan the QR code, read through it. All this information is written down. That's the end of my time today. Thank you all for being here. All right. Okay, now we got questions, and I got bags I got to figure out how to give away. So do we have mics so we can run to students with questions? Yeah, however you want to do it. Whoever has their hand up, give them a mic. Yeah.
Hello, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
My name is Mohammed Al-Hajsidi, a student from George Mason University, interning at JP Morgan. Since this is being recorded, I'm not sure if you can answer this. It doesn't have to be your own personal opinion, but I just want to understand why Mythos hasn't been released. Like, is there information that
okay.
the tech industry understands that maybe we just don't? I'm just curious.
It has been released. Like, we have teams internally at Microsoft that have been using it for 2 months now, but not using it in a way that would never show up in a customer-facing, like using it internally to do analysis. And so it is not what you, like I said before, Dario Omodai's goal is to sell his company. So he told us he had something that's the end of the whole world, then he didn't release it. Then he gave it to companies privately, and privately, have you heard any of us say that, man, this thing is so good, you know, I'm just going to fire everybody, all my lawyers or all my analysts at JP Morgan, I'm going to fire them. So it's just another model. It's a good one. It's not the end of all labor and the end of all life and Skynet, you know. So it hasn't been released, though, specifically because they fine-tuned a model that excels at finding security vulnerabilities. That's why it hasn't been released. Because if you were a bad person and you wanted to find ways to hack into Fortune 500 companies, it's really good at finding ways that those companies have messed up, right? So that's why they haven't released it. They don't want you to hack them. So am I supposed to call on them, or do you? Yeah, you guys call them. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much for the talk.
Can you?
My name is Andrew. I go to Middlebury College, and I'm going to be working at Morgan Stanley next summer.
Well,
I'm wondering, do you have any tips on ways to find the credible alternative resources like news, like on X or on Substack? Because I know a couple months ago there was the Citrini research thing that came out, and that was kind of more like fear mongering in a way. But obviously this talk is saying something else. So I'm wondering, do you have any tips for finding a credible source?
Yes. Okay. If you want to become a basketball influencer, what kind of people do you start following on social media? Basketball.
Yeah, like basketball influencers.
Basketball influencers and basketball people. If you want to become a makeup influencer, what people do you start following?
Like the James Charles of the world?
Yeah, other makeup, I don't know who that is, but other makeup, that's a makeup influencer?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
You follow other makeup influencers. Okay, what you don't do, right, what you don't do though, is you don't go follow this, what's the name of a makeup company? Help me out.
Estee Lauder.
What? Okay, you don't follow the CEO of the makeup company, because the CEO of the makeup company isn't really a makeup expert, they're a business expert. So if you scan this QR code, there's a section called Who to Follow. You should follow the people doing the job you actually want to do. The CEO's goal is to generate value for shareholders, and they will say things about Copilot that maybe Copilot doesn't quite do. Right? So that's my advice, and I have a resource for you if you scan that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Whoever has a microphone though, right? Yeah? Okay.
Hi, my name is Bianca. I'm a rising senior at Babson College, and I'll be at Synchrony Financial as a data analyst. You gave us a lot of different scenarios about how, agentic and generative AI has been used for different business problems and how that can sort of be a problem and what different, fallbacks it could have. But how can we as interns use maybe company-specific LLMs to help us complete our task and actually kind of work alongside AI to create value in our companies rather than have it take over our entire task?
Yes. So the first thing is company-specific. It depends on the plan your company is giving you. Right? At Microsoft right now, we all have unlimited everything, but they're changing that because it costs a lot of money. So number one is learning the specific AI that your company uses. And number two, learning what is it that your company does that the AI is probably not an expert in. So a large language model is a general tool. It knows a lot about everything, but it doesn't know a lot about whatever specifically your company does. And so we have something called context engineering, which is putting together a set of information that you give to a large language model to make it specific to just that area. So my advice would be your job now becomes feeding an AI model a lot of written information that's specific to your company so it can do its job better, which is to help you, not replace you.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any more? Okay. I will hang around. I'll talk to you all after. But there's a schedule.
Hi, my name's Jamie Geraldo. I go to the University of Pittsburgh, and I'll be at JP Morgan this summer. I'm actually going to be a software engineer intern for them. So my question for you is, based off your experience, what kind of software engineers do you think thrive best in a now AI integrated environment?
Okay, there's a great quote from a guy, his name is Andre Karpathy. He used to work at Tesla and founded their AI division. Then he worked at OpenAI and basically helped create the first GPT. The quote he has is that artificial intelligence has kind of separated software engineers who were in love with the process, so writing the code themselves, versus those who were in love with building something, the final output. And so people who really loved manually typing all the code themselves, they're having a bad time right now. They're frustrated and they're like, I want to quit. But people who were really writing code as a means to an end, there's something I really want to make, and I will write all the code I need to do to make it. But now I have a tool that helps me get there faster. So my advice would be to make sure you understand why you're doing what you're doing and that you deeply care about it. Because if all you want to do is write code, I mean, like I'll put it this way. In soccer, is the goal just to run around? No, right? So if you love running, you should go do track. But if you like soccer, running is just a part of it, right? So fall in love with the actual thing we're doing, not just running, because that's just, writing code by hand is gone, so. But we still have a lot of work to do. Thank you all. I think I'm done. I'll hang around, though. Yeah.